Hi, folks. Thank you for joining us today, this afternoon now. My name is Josh Lee. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the program manager for campus involvement.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jamie Alt. I use she and her pronouns, and I'm a program advisor on the student programs team, also within the Center for Campus Involvement.
Yeah, and we're really excited that you were able to join us today. We're going to be talking about getting involved on campus and some of the offerings that the Center for Campus Involvement has for all of you as you get started with your respective journeys here at the university. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen here, and we will get right into it. So I'll pass it off to Jamie to get us started.
Sure, thanks, Josh. So as Josh said, we are the Center for Campus Involvement. CCI is what you might more commonly hear us referred to, as we are an acronym-friendly campus. And we're here to help and support students with their involvement outside of the classroom. That happens mostly in our office through organizations and programming, but we're going to go through those two areas for the most part today. And Josh, I think if you click the next slide, right, you can see our mission statement. Thank you. So here's a little bit more about us. Through meaningful involvement, we create transformative experiences of vibrant community and lifelong memories for the University of Michigan students. So we know that a college experience is more than just attending classes. While that is obviously the most important part of your time while you're here, we also hope that you get involved with some organizations and attending some programs to create those memories that will last a lifetime.
So before we really do all of our programming and all the different services we offer, I did want to touch really briefly on our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially in the type of work we do, serving this community of amazing students. We believe that inclusive and welcoming communities are really the key to students finding belonging on campus. But with that in mind, we also believe in challenging ourselves and our communities and our friends and our colleagues to develop new ideas, to think differently about different perspectives. I think, the best part about the university is that we have so many people from so many walks of life and so many parts of the world joining in this one area. And we have a lot to learn from each other. So that is definitely really key in all of the work that we do. And it's something that's really, really important to all of us.
Okay, so we also want to share with you some of the numbers here of our orgs and our programs. So one thing that is, I think, really fun to share with folks, we have over 1,500 student organizations on this campus. It's one of the largest and most active student org bodies in the country. So we're really proud of that. That also means there's so much for you to get involved with here. It can be a little overwhelming. Josh is going to break it all down for you, so don't worry. We also offer more than 200 programs annually, which is a mix of some larger scale, some smaller scale, but the best thing is most of those events are fully free for you as a University of Michigan student. So lots to get involved with and spend your time, your evenings, all of that. So let's get into a little bit more.
So the first thing we're going to start off with are student organizations. They take up a lot of our space in the unit and in the work that we do, and they're a really, really critical part of the University of Michigan experience. So we're going to spend the next few minutes talking about student organizations here at the university, how you can get involved with them, where you can find information on them, and especially once you're getting into the fall, your sort of timeline for figuring out that involvement process. So as Jamie said, there are over 1,500 student organizations at the University of Michigan, and they cover an enormous amount of interests and work. There are organizations who are very focused on academics. There are performance arts organizations, club sports. There are organizations that work in business and entrepreneurship, those that do activism, community service. Really, there is something for everybody. And by some reason, if you are unable to discover an organization that fits your interest, it's really easy to start one too. So we have a lot of different mechanisms in place to support organizations and support students who are searching for those communities. But for all of you, a really great resource that I want to spend a little bit of time talking about is something called Maze Pages. So Maze Pages is the university's official directory of student organizations. So all of our active organizations are listed on Maze Pages. There are also things like events that you can check out, different ways that you can contact those organization leaders. So what I'm going to do right now is actually bump out of the presentation and really quickly give you a brief walkthrough of the website. So the URL you are going to follow is mazepages.umich.edu, and it's going to take you to a screen that looks like this. From here, what you can all do right now, you can do this as you're watching along with me. You can do it once we're wrapped up, but you would go to the blue sign in button on the upper right-hand corner. And when you select that, you are going to sign in with your unique name and your password. So every single student at the university is granted a profile on Maze Pages that is linked to their unique name. Once you sign in, it will take you to a page that looks like this. This is your home screen for Maze Pages. And what I'm going to really spend my time on is how do you navigate the system to discover student organizations? So the easiest thing to do is to use this massive search bar right smack dab in the middle of your screen. So, you know, if you have a really, really good idea of what you are looking for, so maybe you just really enjoy, I don't know, let's say singing. If you type singing in, it is going to generate a list of organizations that has that term listed in their description. So you can see that 3 organizations pop up, and then there's an option to view more organizations. If you select that option, it will take you over to a more dedicated search screen. And now if I scroll down, I can see all of these organizations that have singing that show up in their profile somewhere. Another way that you can search is by just clicking on the organizations tab. And that is going to take you to a page that pretty much looks identical to the one that we saw. You can search by clicking on the drop-down menu for categories. And this is going to release and show you all of the different categorizations of organizations at the University of Michigan. So as you can see, we have a good amount of them. So maybe you don't want to do a keyword search, but you know that you're really interested in something like business and entrepreneurship. So maybe you want to get involved in an organization that is really focused on business and entrepreneurship. So if you select that, it will filter out all of the organizations and just present the ones to you that have that listed as their primary category. There are 49 organizations that show that categorization right now. And you can even run a search with filters and keywords combined. So let's say you're interested in business and entrepreneurship, but maybe more specifically, you're looking for consulting organizations. If you type that in the keyword, it's really, really going to narrow down your search. So from here, what you can do is click on any of these cards that pop up. They give you a really brief description. They show you the organization's profile picture. But once you click into that profile, it will show you a lot more information. It will give you a more specific and kind of fleshed out description. And it will also give you the contact information for the student organization. So if it's something where you're in the summer and you want to get ahead of the game a little bit and you want to reach out to some of these student organization leaders, you are able to do that. And the organizations that have provided website and social media links, those will also show up in their Maze Pages profile as well. So this is a really, really great place to get started in searching for student organizations. And the other piece that I really want to highlight back on the home screen of Maze Pages is if you scroll down just a little bit more, you will see an All Events tab. And I want to point your attention towards this first card, the Virtual Summer Orientation Org Fairs. Session 1 was really successful, but the second session is on July 30th from 4 to 6 p.m. And that is a virtual event that is hosted right here on Maze Pages. So When the 30th comes around at 4 p.m., you can click right into this card and it will actually generate a list of organizations. I believe we have a little over 200 that are signed up for the event, where you can actually click a Meet Online button and jump into a Zoom conversation to have a little bit of a chat with those student organization leaders. So if you really kind of want to get ahead of the game and prep for fall and maybe come into the fall with a community that's already knows who you are, this is a really, really great opportunity and something that we would really, really recommend that you do. So that is Maze Pages. Now I'm going to bump back into our regularly scheduled programming. Okay. So the next piece that I want to talk about is fests. So you're going to hear a lot about fests during your first couple of weeks on campus. Fests are an introduction to student orgs at the university, and there are three really big ones that you are going to want to be aware of. The first one is the one that I just talked to you about, which is the Summer Orientation Virtual Organization Fair. The second one, and the big one, is Festifall. Festifall is the largest student organization fair at the institution, and we host this year, we are going to be hosting 3 days of Festifall. So Festifall North is located on the Gerstacker Grove, which is on North Campus. That's going to be on Tuesday, August 31st. And then 2 days of Festifall will be occurring on Central Campus, on the Central Campus Diag and North Ingalls Mall. Those are going to be occurring on Wednesday, September 1st and Thursday, September 2nd. So those are dates that I would definitely mark down. All the events will be occurring from 5 to 8 p.m. And so far we have a little over 600 student organizations that are signed up across those three events. So it's a really awesome time to really get to interface with those student organization leaders and to get a sense of how vibrant and how big our community is. The third fest is called Winterfest, and that is a 2-day student org fair that's held in the Michigan Union during the winter semester. So you will already hopefully have discovered some communities by then, and maybe at that point you'll actually be working a table for your organization. And then the other piece that I really wanted to touch on is, we have a lot of different resources for student organizations. And one of the coolest ones is a space called the Idea Hub. So this is on the second floor of the Michigan Union. And it is really a space that is completely dedicated for student organization leaders. So if you are in a student organization, then you can access this space and use it for really whatever you want to. But it's a beautiful open space, about 12,000 square feet. There are reservable meeting rooms, there are dance studios, there's a creative arts studio. And it's really one of the most unique sort of features of our campus. Very few places around the country have dedicated spaces like this for their student organizations. And I think this just shows that the institution is really committed to the work that our student organizations are doing. So the last thing I want to touch on before I toss it back over to Jamie is to give you a general timeline for involvement, because I know we all love our sort of deadlines, right? So the first thing to do right now during the summer, if you're really antsy, you're ready to go, is to start exploring a little bit. Use Maze Pages, explore the student organizations that really sort of resonate with you and fit your different interests, and even reach out to those student organizations if you would like to. And then the second piece is definitely to attend the Summer Orientation Virtual Work Fair. It's just a great opportunity to really jumpstart your involvement. The second piece when you get onto campus is to attend Festifall. So marking your calendars, interact with some organization leaders, get some free swag, build some connections. Festifall doesn't just have student organizations. We also have community vendors and campus departments. So if you are looking for the event that will get you some free stuff, Festifall is the place to go. So again, these are the dates and times: the 31st on North Campus and the 1st and 2nd of September on Central Campus, all from 5 to 8 p.m. And then the next step is to get started. And this is where some terminology is going to come into play. A lot of student organizations after Festifall, once they get names down for people who are interested, organizations will send out emails to attend something called a mass meeting. So a mass meeting, not every student organization does this, but a good amount of them do. Mass meetings are something that a student organization will host, and it's sort of like an informational session. So if you sign up with an organization and say, I want to learn more, expect an email from that org inviting you to a mass meeting session. Some of our organizations are also selective in their membership. So you might have to submit an application, an interview to get into the organization, or you might need to try out maybe for an athletic team or audition for a performance team. But all that stuff is generally going to happen during the first few weeks of the semester. And that's kind of like how I touched on before. If you don't find something you're interested in at Festifall or on Maze Pages, you can get a group of your friends and start your own organization. So if you want to do that, you can just contact us to learn a little bit more about that process. Whew. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking and pass it back over to Jamie for the next little bit.
Thanks, Josh. So the other way to get involved is by attending some of our wonderful programs that are put on through the University Activity Center, or UAC. Told you we're a fan of acronyms on this campus. So the University Activity Center is a programming board that focuses on programming for students by students. It's a combination of 17 performance-based organizations and a few program teams that come together to provide large community building events, major concerts and shows, and a couple different weekly program series options. The organizations that are a part of UAC are largely arts-based, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. So you can follow us on most social media platforms, check out the website, and sign up even for our newsletter to stay up to date on all things that are happening with UAC. It'll come right to your email, and you can figure out what we're doing each week. We'll have all that contact information for you a little bit later on in the presentation. So a little bit more about the student organizations that are a part of the University Activity Center. So as I mentioned, there are 17 of them, and you're going to start to see their logos pop up here on the screen. They're all sponsored by CCI and supported by professional staff within our office. These groups are really amazing. They put on some really high quality programs and events that support not just the UM community, but also Ann Arbor. So some of those groups, as I mentioned, they're heavily focused on arts and performance. So I want to highlight some of them. You can see a list there of the kind of areas that they focus on, but would like to highlight Musket for first off. So they are a musical theater group and have put on some really fabulous shows like In the Heights, and they did Legally Blonde one semester. So they do a production each semester. Tickets are low cost for students. Another group is Groove. They are considered our found percussion group on campus. So if you've seen Stomp or those types of groups where they're creating music on like trash cans and pipes and other random things that they find, they're a really fun group. You'll see them quite a bit on campus. They not only have their own shows that they put on, but they're also asked to perform at a lot of halftime shows for athletic events and just generally around campus. Another group I'll mention is Big Ticket Productions. They're a like musical and concert production group. So concerts that come to campus are usually a part of that organization. So really, if you're interested in getting anything involved with anything that's more arts-based, maybe in high school you were involved in theater or you were involved in orchestra or the school newspaper, UAC is a great place for you to continue that involvement without having to be like a major, setting it as a major or for your future profession. The other half of UAC, and probably one of the easiest ways to get involved, is by attending a UAC program, because all you need to do is just bring yourself and have a good time. The events that we put on this side of UAC are completely free, oftentimes provide free food. Who doesn't love that? And are aimed at helping you relieve some stress, make some social connections, have fun. You can, like I said, meet new people, bring your friends, and have a good evening. We have a couple different styles of programs. I mentioned earlier, we have our reoccurring kind of regular programming series. Two of those options are UU Weekly and UMix Late Night. UU Weekly is a midweek program on Wednesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. They have a lot of craft nights or game nights, really low, kind of low stress. Come and interact with us as long as you would like to. Grab a quick snack and then head back to study and kind of get to choose your adventure there. UMix Late Night is a more high energy traditional late night program on Friday nights in the Michigan Union. We take over the building and we have inflatables and crafts, a free food buffet. Sometimes there's a movie there as well. So very high energy, great way to kick off the weekend with friends and roommates and such. The other style of program we have are our special events. These are usually larger, kind of seasonal programs that happen periodically throughout the semester and year. Some of those are Haunted Bell Tower, where we take the North Campus Bell Tower and turn it into a haunted house that happens around Halloween. We're hoping we can bring that back this year, but we're still waiting to see on if we can do that or not. At the end of each semester, we offer a late night breakfast right before finals called Final Survival Breakfast. So you can come and get fueled up with eggs and pancakes and bacon and coffee and all that before you take your finals. We're also really excited to dive into a little more Spirit programs this year with 4 home football games in a row in the month of September. We'll be doing some programming on the Michigan Union front lawn. So we hope you'll stop by, play some lawn games, grab some food, and just hang out before the game. And there's so much more that we offer throughout the year as well. So we hope that we will see you at our events.
So we've talked at you here for the last maybe 20 minutes or so, and you might be thinking, what do I do next, right? Great, I want to get involved. I see these different options, but maybe I don't want to wait until late August, early September to really get started on all of these things. So one way that you can really just kind of jump in is to follow us, right? We live as sort of the hub for campus involvement. So follow us on social media, follow UAC on social media. You can visit our website. And if you go to our website at campusinvolvement.umich.edu, there's a link to sign up for our newsletter. You can select that and sign up for the newsletter, and you will get that newsletter on a bi-weekly basis. And it will have all the information about our upcoming programs and all the cool things that we are doing. So would definitely recommend that you give us a follow, check out our website, check out our social media. It's the best way to really keep up with everything that we're doing on campus. The other thing you can do is connect with us. So this is some of our contact information, our email, uminvolvement@umich.edu. If you have questions that come up, that's probably the best place to reach us. I've talked about virtual summer orientation org fair a few times, but I'm going to plug that again. Once you pop into the event, you can just look for the Center for Campus Involvement card and click that, and you can chat with one of our team members. If you are really just lost and you're saying, I would really love someone to sit down with me and sort of help me figure out what it is that I'm looking to do, help me explore organizations that I'm interested in, you can sign up for an involvement consultation. So if you visit the URL, tinyurl.com/CCI drop-in, you will actually be able to schedule a time with one of our awesome student employee team members for a little bit of help and walk through that process with a peer to help sort of narrow down what some of those options are. And hey, once August hits and our offices open back up, you can just pop up to the 3rd mezzanine floor of the Michigan Union and just come in and say hello. We've missed seeing students in our spaces, and I think I'll speak for both Jamie and myself and the rest of our team when I say we're just really excited to see everybody again and have that vibrancy and life back in our spaces. The other piece here is, I think, Jamie, were you going to take this? I think, yeah.
I certainly can. Thanks, Josh. So when you get to campus, a little plug here for Welcome to Michigan. I'm sure you started to hear a little bit about this, but CCI has a large stake in Welcome. We have quite a few programs that we put on throughout the week and really month of September this year that Welcome will take place in. So we hope to see you at our several events. These are larger in nature and focus on social and community building. where you can meet a lot of your other new students to campus, and just get to know the campus community and resources. So you'll get a full email or a full schedule in your email coming soon. But keep a lookout for our programs, particularly Festival, as Josh mentioned, and a program that I plan that's called Go Blue Mix, which will follow the football game on September 4th from 8 p.m. to midnight on Ingalls Mall.
So we just spent all this time talking at you. If your head is spinning a little bit, it is okay. Mine is as well. But we will open up the floor for any questions. So if you've got questions, type them into the Q&A and we will answer them as best we can.
Josh, I have a question for you. What is your favorite organization, or what are some of the best organizations or more unique organizations on campus?
That is a great question. I think I'm gonna plug UAC again. I think those orgs are really, really amazing. Like they put on, I have to put Musket on there. Like their productions are really, really top notch. And I think that those organizations all just do really, really great work. I think a lot of our sort of the organizations, I think of like the Michigan Fashion Media Summit for one. So like U of M doesn't have a fashion program, a fashion merchandising sort of program. So a student organization was created to try and address that need. And they host a big fashion summit every year. And it's really, really incredible. I think of like Dance Marathon and Relay for Life and these organizations that really probably could be campus departments on their own because of the amount of work that they're doing. So really a ton of amazing orgs, but it looks like we've got some questions here. So why don't we start going through them? How frequently would you say that most organizations meet? I think it really depends on the organizations. Some of them meet once a week. Some of them meet bi-weekly. Some of them meet 4 or 5 times a week. It really just depends on what they're doing. And I think if you have a really good idea of this is how much time I can carve out for involvement in a student organization, I think that's a question that you really should ask those individual student organization leaders. Intramural sports. So IM Sports lives under recreational sports, which is a department at at the university. So if you just Google UMich Rec Sports, that'll take you right to their website. They have a whole section on intramural sports that you can look at for their schedule and how to get involved with that. Benefits of creating your own student organization. I think, the biggest benefit is that it's yours, right? It's you and the group of individuals that get to create it. You get to determine what the mission is. You get to start it from the ground up. I will say it's a lot of work. It's usually more work than people think it's going to be. You have to write a full constitution. Depending on the sort of work you want to do, you have to sort of learn about, how to balance budgets and do accounts and start recruiting members. And I think a lot of that it takes up a lot more time than people might think, but it's really rewarding. And I think it's a cool thing for us when we see organizations that maybe started 3-4 years ago that now are really flourishing and they live beyond the students who started those organizations. So even after you graduate, it's like a way to leave a legacy on campus in a cool way. Specific advice for international students doing an exchange semester at the university. I don't know, Jamie, I've answered the last few questions. Do you have any advice for the student?
I never studied abroad when I was an undergrad either. So I have not personally experienced, but I would just say, still find your community. Like it is a brief time that you're here, but there's still a lot to get involved with. So I wouldn't let that worry you about the length of time that you're going to be here on campus if that's something you're concerned about. But just jump on in and Find a couple organizations, attend some programs. We have quite a few international students that attend UMix Late Night, as well as many of our other programs. And I think they've really enjoyed getting that experience. So get involved.
Yeah, and I think jumping into, there are a lot of organizations that are dedicated to international students. So we have organizations where it's just a collection of international students who get together and get to have fun together and talk about their experiences. We have various sort of cultural groups that serve very, very specific sort of cultural and diverse identities, right? So we have a Chinese Cultural Association and a Black Student Association and interest groups that run the gamut. So I think I would point you to Maze Pages and spend some time diving into some of the options there. Any communities for architecture and real estate? Yes. So I think you just hop into Maze Pages, again, type in real estate, and I think that's going to be a really, really great place to start. But, I would venture to guess that most of the academic programs at the university have a student organization that is attached to it. So if that is something that you're interested in, you really want to sort of build on what you're learning in the classroom and sort of apply that by joining an organization. It's most of the academic sort of pathways at the institution have dedicated student organizations that sort of do that work outside of the classroom. Website where you can discover volunteer opportunities. So I don't know if there's one that lists just like you can volunteer here, but I will make a plug for one of our campus partners, the Ginsberg Center. They are wonderful. They are sort of the experts on campus for community engagement and volunteerism. So that's GINSBERG, the Ginsberg Center. That is definitely something that I would recommend that you check out. They have an awesome team over there. How many student organizations should you join? That is a great question. I think, I'm thinking about like some of the student employees that we've had that are just involved in like everything. I think the right answer is the amount that lets you find the communities that are important to you, while also allowing you enough space to focus on your studies and being a good student. But I don't think there's a right answer. It's different for everybody. I don't know, Jamie, do you have thoughts there?
No, very similar. The phrase quality over quantity is what comes to mind. So, you don't need to be involved in every single organization and hold a leadership position in all those organizations. That, having one or two that you're really committed to and passionate about is probably going to go a much further way for you than, picking 10 or more that you want to just dabble in here and there.
Yeah, I think I'll echo that. I think we see a lot of first year students who come in and it's like they approach organizations a lot like internships, where it's like, I have to join X amount and I've got to be the president and it's going to show up on my resume and it's going to be really important. And I think that is important for some people and certainly for some academic programs. It's like, the organizations you join are pretty important. But I would also encourage everyone to think about what you like doing, right? If you are studying engineering, but you really like singing, like you should audition for an a cappella group. I think that's a really good idea. If you are studying political science, but you love theater, like you should go audition for Musket. And if you're trying to get into law school, but you really like playing soccer, like you should join Victor's FC and play soccer. I think it's really important to not get so caught up in I need to do everything perfectly. I think, oftentimes the thing you remember most about your college experience are these things that you did that weren't in the classroom. Those are oftentimes the place where you find your communities and make your really, really close friends and the things that you sort of carry with you when you leave. So, yeah, I'm not seeing any more questions here. So maybe I'll give it like 30 more seconds. But if we don't get any questions, I think I'm just going to say thank you for joining us. And, I look forward to seeing you at hopefully summer org fair, or maybe an involvement consultation, or at Festival, or even just hanging out in the office. So really looking forward to seeing everyone. All right. Well, like I said, we have our contact information that was on the previous slide. But of course, if you've got any questions, just reach out to us at uminvolvement@umich.edu. Jamie, do you have any parting words for the crew here?
No, just thanks so much for joining us today. We're excited to have you all join us on campus in a few weeks here, and think of us when you're trying to get involved.
All right, cool. Go Blue. See you, everybody.